The only task that we asked you to do, and look, even Zlatan did this, you just have to say your name and what you do for a living.
Okay. I won't be able to do it as well as he did.
No, obviously not.
I'm Vincent Kompany. I'm the manager of Burnley Football Club.
Do you sometimes forget? Like, is it like something that seeps into you
That I'm a manager?
This is my job now?
Now you're
When you're out
the
there and you
boss
see
now.
them?
No, I forget sometimes that I was a player.
Really?
Yeah, that's how much you're invested into the job. So my life has just shifted from being a player to being a manager. And the things you do have is like, especially when your players are going through situations, then you can relate. You can say, hey, I went through this, or one of my coaches, because they've all played professional careers as well, they went through it, and you relate. But my life is changed now, yeah.
I wrote a book with Gianluca Vialli many years ago, and he talked about the same thing, about the transition. And he was also player manager for a while too at Chelsea. And he said one of the most difficult thing was that, as a player, obviously, and as a leader, you're concerned with your teammates and so on, but ultimately, being a high-level athlete, so much focus on yourself. Am I eating right? Did I train well today? What can I do better? Do I sleep well? And then you become a manager and you have inputs from, he says, it's not just 20 players, it's also my assistants, the director of football, the travel, the bus guy, and you don't have time, or it's much more difficult to carve out time for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, and there's one particular thing you mentioned is player coaching. So if I could have done a documentary at any point in my life, it would have been of that period of my life. Player coaching, it's surreal, and in terms of executing and delivering the job, I thought I did really well, but then the hardest part was injuries. So player coaching in itself, it's actually feasible. You're a captain on the pitch, and off the pitch, you give instructions about how you're gonna get to a result, and then even making decisions on players. If you fare, it's fine. But then being a player coach and being injured was like that was something I didn't account for.
Do you think that was a mistake, maybe, that you should have either just be the manager or still maybe one more season as a player, or the fact that you could do both was a bit difficult for you just to manage in general?
Yeah, it was difficult, but the decision got a little bit imposed on me because I didn't feel ready to stop. So that's always difficult. And at the same time, I felt that if I was going to a different place, especially with the level of instructions I received from Pep at the time and stuff, I didn't really feel like I wanted to be coached anymore.
Right.
And that was the opportunity that allowed me to still continue both ways a little bit. And honestly, it was fine. I learned quickly. I learned a lot. But the difficulty was like if you're injured, you go in the stands. So as a coach, you can't be on the touchline, and then everybody's looking like, make sure he doesn't give any instructions to the team because you're not allowed, your status doesn't allow you. And so in the end, in the first season where I did the player coaching, the role of coaching really changed into more, kind of mentoring from the side, and then leaving another person take charge of the coaching. But it prepared me well for becoming a manager. I mean, I stepped into management, and it's as if I did it for 10 years because you learn quicker.
Because the decision to come here, it's big. It's a big decision. To be fair, it's a big club. It's a club that you need to bring back to the Premier League. It's a new squad. It's you have to do the transfer, the recruitment, put everything in place. All of that. It takes courage to accept. You could have stayed where you were, really.
Yeah, and well, I think my time was done in Belgium. Belgium, Anderlecht's a big club. It's comparable to what you can experience in Barcelona, but in small, what you can experience maybe in Marseille or in France, and so 3 years is a very long time. And I was really lucky because I worked with big talents, players that have done really well now that are dotted around on the European scene, so you always take a lot of pride on that. But my time was done, and then I had the decision to make because I had some opportunities abroad as well, like in the first division in top 5 leagues, really good opportunities that everybody would say, well, it makes sense, you go and do it
Yeah.
there. But I chose for people. I made a conscious decision, and I said, look, I don't want to be a manager just 5 or 10 years and then I'm bored of it. I want to be in football for the next 40 years of my life. So I'm patient. I'm in no hurry to lift all the trophies. I want to be successful, and success is defined by trophies if you have a top 5 budget. If not, success is defined by overachieving on the resources you have, by creating a squad that can have a clear identity and overperform. And then the decision to come to Burnley was for me, just I chose for people. I signed.
The feeling you had with the people at the club that you were talking to.
Yeah, that's it. I didn't look at location. Was a coincidence that we are 45 minutes away from Manchester, but it was a coincidence. I wanted to commit to something that in my head I have the feeling that I don't look stupid if I'm trying to build for the next 5 or 6 years. Like if you start as a coach, if you think about more than 1 year, everybody say, what are you doing? Think about more than 1 year. Be lucky if you're there by Christmas. And I can accept the reality, but I wanted to have a starting point where I could live from a different reality, which is, build a squad. And you say we have to go up, but we never say it internally. Yeah. No, we.
But I'm interested in this because obviously there's a massive contract between Anderlecht where you can play European competitions and whatnot. Here you're coming into a club that has just been relegated.
Yeah.
You're replacing, I guess he left during the season, but a guy who, in Sean Dyche, who'd been here for a very long time. There's a change of ownership. There's a fan base that, I'm sure they're very loyal, but they're also accustomed to seeing Burnley often as underdogs, but not just play in the Premier League, but do well in the Premier League for a long time. Yeah, you have parachute money for a while and you have resources. And then after that, I don't follow the championship very closely, but I know that it is 24 clubs.
Sure, it's a great deal.
And, more than half of them spend crazy amounts because they have, in my opinion, crazy owners who think, let me buy a lottery ticket to the... I'm saying it's a tough place, and one that in some ways you're unprepared for after City and Anderlecht, where you're at the top, no?
Yeah, so that's the perception thing with Anderlecht. So the perception is that this was a club that is a big name and stuff, but with Anderlecht, really, what happened is, you talk about overachieving on resources. We were number 5 or 6 in terms of resources, but 1 in terms of perception.
Yeah.
So that's a bad balance to start as a coach. So you have that pressure, but we had one of the youngest squads in Europe finish 3rd. One of the youngest squad again then finished 3rd again. And we overachieved, and we created a lot of value for the club, who had a lot of debt to repay. So we made the club healthier, and we created a lot of value and sold our players when we didn't even replace them. And so I take a lot of pride in the work that was done there. For me, it was terrific. But it was a very good learning school, in fact, for Burnley, because every single season I had to lose 10 or 12 players. And I had to replace them with very little resources. And so you become creative, and you're looking for players who can execute tasks rather than players who already have a big name, which is exactly what we've done now with Burnley. So and the level are very comparable. So between the first division in Belgium and the championship is bigger and faster and more athletic perhaps. But in terms of talent, in terms of potential, it's very similar. So it prepared actually quite well for this league, and then you mentioned parachute money. Our parachute money got swallowed up by the debt repayment that Burnley had to do.
I wasn't going to go there, but yeah, it did.
Yeah. But I think we feel comfortable to communicate about this, because we've said we want to be open and transparent as much as we could. This is why as well, because the parachute repaid the debt, and we lost all of our key players: Ben Mee, Tarkowski, Dwight McNeil,
Collins,
Nathan Collins, Nick Pope, Cornet. They all went. If you look at Norwich, Watford, the teams we're competing with, they kept most of those players. They all went. So that pressure to say we have to promote that's not how we started this journey. What we did is there's good examples, Brentford's and Brighton's. We've done it over a period of time, and you build a squad with players who hopefully the fans find exciting and they can already perform, but as well they can create extra value, and of your own resources you become a better club over time. We're a little bit ahead of time, but that wasn't
because it's
necessary.
been great so far. So
Yeah, it's been great so far. Yeah.
Sure, I'll
How
knock
have
on
you-
wood for you.
Yeah, thank you.
How have you gone through those 4 months then, with the success on the pitch, with the way the team has been playing, far more possession? I mean, you're the team with the highest possession in the championship,
Yeah.
for example. It's impressive, 63%. I think I was looking last night.
65,
So,
yeah.
65. So your philosophy and how you felt in those 4 months.
Well, I realized one thing is it's obviously easier to bring in a kind of an attacking based type of game than go into a defensive based club. It's easier to bring an attacking football type of style.
Do you think? Because you would think the other around, I guess. You could have kept them as a defensive team.
Yeah, but from the players, and you'd never feel resistance from having more of the ball.
Yeah, true.
You know, we all grew up playing in the parks, and you know, when you play with your friends, you don't give the ball away to the opposition and say you play and we'll just defend.
True.
That's why no one wants to be a goalkeeper. And so that side of the game was easier to bring, because I think, you know, naturally you give them more of the ball, but then you still have, you know, the target is to score goals, the target is to create chances, and you know, you convince them with time. You know, they realize the spaces, they try, and they make mistakes, and then when they're successful, you show them again. And especially with having brought in 16 new players, I think you make sure that the players you bring in are comfortable in doing what you want them to do. But then Burnley, the key thing I think for people here is, it's not so much about attacking or defending. It's about, you know, this spirit that you can bring to the game. Like, you cannot be at Burnley if you don't work hard.
Yeah.
It's impossible. So we want good footballers. We want to have the ball. We want to attack and score. We want to press. We want to be aggressive as well. Like, it's so important, and we want to make the fans feel that if we've lost, you know, they'll forgive us here. But if we've lost, we've given everything we have, and we move on to the next game. I mean, this is core, and I didn't install that here. That was there before me, because Sean Dyche did a very good job at doing that.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.